now for Leeds United. A massive Premier League season is on the horizon, with obviously the main objective to remain in the division. That's becoming incredibly tough in this modern era due to the financial implications of other sides and the difference, the golfing class of financial constraints that affect the teams already in the Premier League and the teams that come up. I mean, it's a massive ask. And let's have a look at Leeds United in terms of where they are in pre-season. They've obviously had a few months to sort of regroup and go again, but the momentum has to be, fairly high after their championship-winning campaign, and to ensure there's some new talent coming through the door, and obviously Daniel Farke, that the echo around him near the end of last season was whether he was going to stay. That looks likely, and he obviously pointed out that there does need some recruits to take them to that next level, to take them to that bit of Premier League quality as well. And you do feel Ellen Road is going to play a massive part in keeping them up if they are to do so, in terms of that home form that needs to continue. Now, Dan, our Yorkshire correspondent. Dan, what's your thoughts on where Leeds United are? Tell us a bit about the players who are signing new contracts, whether they've got their feet on the ground, and how confident you are with them in terms of their preparation for this massive Premier League campaign. And it's certainly one that Leeds fans are excited for, but they will have in the back of their mind the incredible challenge that awaits them.
Well, Charles, as you say, it has been a busy summer for Leeds United so far. Obviously, they've brought in a few new names to the club ahead of their return to the Premier League, and they've tied down a couple of their players as well to new contracts, Dan James and Sam Byram. Of course, Dan James is a fan favourite, one of the club's wingers who was a crucial player in last season's promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. And Sam Byram, of course, a boyhood Leeds United supporter. And also that's quite an interesting one as well, because, of course, with Junior Firpo departing the club, who was one of the first choice fullbacks last season, with Sam Byram not always getting much of a look in because of Junior Firpo, could this be the season where he actually breaks into the team a little bit more? Or do Leeds actually need a bit more quality in those areas? Certainly, if they are to bring in any more new signings during this transfer window, I'd bet that fullback will be one of the areas that they look to strengthen. That's nothing against Sam Byram, but I just think they perhaps need some more in those departments as well. Of course, currently the players are back for pre-season training. They're enjoying that, getting fit again in the warm weather. So Leeds very much on the road to their return to the Premier League now. Obviously, it's not going to be easy for them because, let's be honest, the gap between the Premier League and the Championship is widening every season. We've seen in the last 2 seasons that every single promoted club has gone straight back down again. And even Leeds, who finished on 100 points last year, obviously so did Burnley, you can't count on them because of that being shoo-ins to stay up. Yes, they're spending money, but perhaps it's going to need even more, I think, to stay up. Now, they have said, the owners and the board, that they will back Daniel Farke, and they've done that so far as well, but could it be argued that actually other teams, especially Sunderland, who of course went up by the playoffs, are actually having a better transfer window than Leeds United at this point? Certainly they're spending a bit more money on the players they're bringing in. In fact, some of the players that Sunderland have brought in were actually Leeds United targets, including Habib Diarra. What does that say about Leeds? Are Sunderland a more attractive club for these players? I mean, surely that Leeds won the Championship, you'd think that they would perhaps be the better club to go to in terms of that point. But actually, as it turns out, Sunderland are doing all right. Or is it actually that they're paying above the odds, Sunderland, and Leeds perhaps not prepared to do that as much? We live in a PSR world these days in football in this country. So are Leeds actually being a bit more shrewd with their business and not wanting to be sold down the river in terms of spending too much on these players? It all depends on, of course, how they do when the season gets underway in mid-August. But Sunderland have brought in some quality additions so far to their team, and although it could be argued that perhaps Sunderland needed it more and that they were starting from a lower base than Leeds United were from the end of last season, but Leeds, of course, have lost players that they had on loan last season. You look at Manor Solomon, for example, who's now back at Tottenham Hotspur. He'll probably try to be vying for his place at White Hart Lane. So it's an interesting one. Pre-season, of course, is going well for Leeds, but do they perhaps need more in the transfer market? And what can make them a more attractive club